Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random book reviews from the Overflow Room Annex. Bong, crash with the gong. Well, you know the deal. I've been going through these books. Most of them are about music, but some of them are not. Some of them I was reading for projects associated with musical things, and I still have them. And I just came across one that I have to share with you. It's really twisted. It's called The Peep of Day by Fawel Lee Mortimer. It's this tiny little reprint edition. When I was studying vibrato and things like that, it's very interesting. I just have to say, if you really want to understand what was going on culturally, you have to go beyond music. And the vibrato question, vibrato in the orchestra, vibrato in playing, was totally entangled with notions of purity and righteousness and virility and masculinity and femininity and really just, it was a whole big concatenation of stuff. And it really helped to know what the mindset was of some of these people who had this attitude about it, and an attitude toward the arts generally. And so I read just a tremendous amount of Victorian era literature. Although this particular version, Fawel Lee Mortimer, was published by the American Tract Society, originally in 1849. But it was a very interesting sort of 19th century morality thing. Because morality was at the heart of it all. Music was considered vaguely immoral, and sensuous music was really considered, immoral, especially in England and the United States, where sex was immoral. Well, sex was immoral everywhere, but sensuality and that sort of, I don't know what to call it, Protestant rigidity, if you might want to say. Anyway, that's the way things were. So The Peep of Day, it's titled is The Peep of Day, or a series of the earliest religious instruction the infant mind is capable of receiving, with verses illustrative of the subject. So here is an excerpt. I don't remember exactly why I got this, but it was kind of fascinating. So this is for 4 and 5 year olds, by the way. 4 and 5 year olds. Lesson number 1, of the body. So first they tell you about God and how God can do everything. That's fine. Okay, you're ready? Oh, this is amazing. Okay, God has covered your bones with flesh. Your flesh is soft and warm. In your flesh there is blood. God has put skin outside. It covers your flesh and blood like a coat. Now all these things, the bones and flesh and blood and skin, are called your body. How kind it was in God to give you a body. I hope your body will not get hurt. Here we go, folks, the Victorians. Will your bones break? Yes, they would, if you were to fall down from a high place, or if a cart were to go over them. If you were to be very sick, your flesh would waste away, and you would have scarcely anything left but skin and bones. Did you ever see a child who had been sick a very long while? I have seen a sick babe. It had not round cheeks like yours, and a fat arm like yours. Its flesh was almost gone, and its little bones were only covered with skin. God has kept you strong and well. How easy it would be to hurt your poor little body. If it were to fall into the fire, it would be burnt up. If hot water were to fall upon it, it would be scalded. If it were to fall into deep water and not be taken out very soon, it would be drowned. If a great knife were run through your body, the blood would come out. If a great box were to fall on your head would be crushed. If you were to fall out of a window, your neck would be broken. If you were not to eat any food for a few days, your little body would be very sick. Your breath would stop, and you would grow cold, and you would soon be dead. You see that you have a very weak little body. Can you keep your own body from being sick and from getting hurt? You should try not to hurt yourself, but God only can keep your body from all harm, from fire and water, from wounds and bruises, and all kinds of sickness. Kneel down and say to God, pray, keep my poor little body from getting hurt. God will hear you and go on taking care of you. Ugh! Well, tells us what basically the whole purpose of religion is. Fear, at least in 1849. Anyway, that I just had to share that with you because it's reading that is simply grotesque. So there we go, and a quite the exercise in child psychology, isn't it? Okay, so that was nothing to do with music, but this is Hindemith, A Composer's World. Oh, this is so much fun. A Composer's World is Hindemith's philosophy of composition, of the composer's obligation to his society, his railing against bad music, just bad music. His utopian dream of music which improves one morally and elevates one aesthetically. It's really, really wonderful. I just opened this at random from page 213. I read this when I was doing my master's thesis, which was about Hindemith. It was about Der Fall Hindemith, the Hindemith case, which was the controversy that Hindemith and Furtwängler got into over the premiere of his symphony Matthias der Maler under the Nazi regime. It's a fascinating story. But anyway, this is so typically Hindemithian. I love this. It is said that one of the most horrid tortures inflicted on captured political enemies of Nazidom's tyrant was the incessant gramophone playing of patriotic songs. This drove the victims to the verge of insanity. Compare this fact with the answer given by the owner of a delightful little hotel when asked why the otherwise pleasant atmosphere of his lobby had to be marred by a daily and nightly groaning loudspeaker. He said, "Have you ever felt how horrifying silence is? Silence, one of the most merciful gifts of heaven in this noisy world. Silence, the horizon against which alone music assumes contour and meaning. It is our era that has had the privilege of adding to these old disgraceful blemishes on mankind's record: political dictatorship, slave labor, prostitution, racial prejudice, the modern complement, the, quote, captive audience, unquote. We may have some hope that this plague of bastard music, like others that scourge the human race, such as cholera and scurvy, will wane and be reduced to a bearable minimum, simply because there has been too much of it. Well, no, that hasn't happened, but it's really fun to get his opinion. I think that was kind of interesting, isn't it? All kinds of nifty little quotations and things you can get from dear Mr. Hindemith. And then Richard Strauss, Man, Musician, Enigma, by Michael Kennedy. You know, Michael Kennedy wrote a bunch of books about all kinds of things for the Master Musician series. You know, he was a very substantial music critic and writer on music in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, I guess. And it draws on much previously unpublished material, including Strauss's own letters and diary, deals fully with Strauss's life as leading composer and national figure during the Third Reich, reveals much about Strauss's long, happy but tempestuous marriage, traces the important relationships to his librettists, Hugo von Hofmannsthal, Stefan Zweig, Joseph Gregor, and Clemens Krauss. Yeah, it's a good book, Cambridge University Press. I don't know if it's still available. You know, Kennedy wrote a bunch of books. I mean, the Strauss studies have progressed a bit since then, I think. They've come a ways, but this was really important when it was published, because let me see when it was here. Here we go. First published in 1999. And even back then, in 1999, there wasn't such a huge amount on Strauss. So Kennedy was really active even then, I guess. I didn't remember him that well. But yeah, good book. Very good book. If you're interested in Richard Strauss, worth seeking out. So there you have it. 3 intriguing and very different books about Strauss, Hindemith, and well, how to torture little children into being terrified of living. So keep on reading, friends, and listening. Take care.